rated mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey guys, happy Monday. Happy Monday. Did everybody catch the Trump speech over this past weekend? He was speaking at the North Carolina GOP convention. What a standing ovation the president got. Talking about, what needs to be done, and almost giving a pitch as if he is literally running for presidency again. He didn't give his normal speech of his accomplishments in the last 4 years as president. Basically, kind of gave the the normal campaign type of speech that he gave prior to his presidency 5 years ago. And just basically said, this is what needs to be done. We need to have strong borders. We need to look at science a little bit more clear instead of relying on one person. And basically just kind of narrowed it down a little bit better. But with that being said, folks, I wanna go into this argument here on the show relating to the Trump speech. You gotta listen to this. It's now coming out of CNN Politics that are saying that Trump advances dangerous disinformation campaign as more states move to restrict the vote. What? I mean, come on. CNN said just earlier today, this morning, that Donald Trump's speech before the North Carolina Republican Party Saturday night was a reminder of the danger the former president possesses as he undermines America's election system while attempting to reassert himself as the kingmaker on the national stage. What? Folks, I said it time after time. We do have free speech in this country. Doesn't matter if you're a political figure, a public figure, a celebrity, a movie star, a comedian, a podcast host, a radio host, anybody in the public spotlight, right? Even including Donald Trump. If Donald Trump wants to reassess the previous election back in November of last year, that's his God-given right. That's his First Amendment right. Free speech. It's still alive in this country, and it's part of the Bill of Rights, folks. So, his address to the party faithful was a familiar skirt to anyone who turned into his 2020 campaign rallies. And then it goes to say that he attacked President Joe Biden's foreign policy maneuvers. Okay. What is Joe doing right now with his foreign policies? Not a damn thing. Also claimed last night that Biden is destroying the economy, which he is. Insisted that he deserves more credit for the rapid development of the COVID-19 pandemic vaccines, which literally, in my aspect, and I can agree with the president on this, the radical left and the cancel culture are destroying America's freedoms when it comes to pushing this vaccine. Don't get me wrong. I totally agree with the president. Totally agree with the president. The president is right on a lot of different angles. So, with that being said here, guys, I want to plug into the show a soundbite from President Trump just last night. Check this out, guys. So as we're waiting for the sound clip, guys, you got to listen to this. This is the President of the United States, former President of the United States, giving his speech at the North Carolina Republican convention. Okay, and then, of course, you're going to hear, crooked CNN, going into their gossip here of now they're saying return to the stump. Trump dwells on the 2020 election and the first speech in months. Listen to this stuff here. This is, of course, they're gonna bash him. They've been doing it for the last 5 years now. Listen to this.
Everything the Biden administration has done so far, and yes, at points, he obsessed on the outcome of the 2020 election, which he called the crime of the century. He lost that election. And then he began to do a lot of what seemed to be reframing over what many perceived to be his administration's greatest failure, which was the handling of the pandemic. The former president took credit, of course, for the vaccine, but he ignored the fact that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Americans died under his watch. He blasted Dr. Anthony Fauci, saying that he was not a good doctor, but he was a great promoter, and then he demanded money from China for the coronavirus. Here's that moment.
But Fauci has perhaps never been more wrong than when he denied the virus and where it came from. The time has come for America and the world to demand reparations and accountability from the Communist Party of China. We should all declare within one unified voice that China must pay.
I totally agree. They have to pay. They have to pay. And so does Fauci. Dr. Fauci has to pay as well, too. Fauci, excuse me. Like I said, I can never pronounce his last name right. Dr. Fauci and China has to pay for this COVID pandemic. A lot of misinformation. And Trump was right. Not only should Anthony Fauci be removed and fired from his role as CDC head man of the CDC, he should be sent to prison. Not only for misinforming the citizens of this country, but did you notice that anchor there on CNN said under Trump's watch a lot of people died? No, he closed down the country from travelers coming in from possibly where this virus could have came from, its origins. He closed down the country, you nitwit. So how is all these deaths last year, prior to Biden coming into presidency, how is it Trump's fault? Trump was just taking medical advice from Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fraudski, I call him. He was taking advice from Dr. Fraudski. And then shortly after that, Trump had other advisors saying things, even got to listen to Dr. Birx, right? So was Trump in the right state of mind of firing Dr. Fraudski from his administration last year? Absolutely. 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 Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast.
Is being destroyed before our very own eyes. Crime is exploding. Police departments are being ripped apart and defunded. Can you believe that? Is that good politics? Defund our police? Number one, it's bad for our country, but think of it. Defund our police. You know, I've long said they're vicious, they're violent, they, in many cases, hate our country, and they have bad policy. Now, the bad news from our standpoint, they stick together. They don't have some of the people like we have, where they go on their own and they do what they have to. They stick together. And that's the one thing they have. They stick together. But their policy is so bad. And we're going to have a tremendous 2022, just like we did, frankly, 2020. Think of it. More votes than any sitting president in the history of the United States, by far. We had a great election. Bad things happened, but we had a great election. But they're starting to heal. The media, the Democrats, and the so-called experts are now finally admitting what I first said 13 months ago. The evidence demonstrates that the virus originated in a Chinese government lab. Couldn't say it. You couldn't say it. And Dr. Fauci, who I actually got along with, he's a nice guy. He's a great promoter, you know. Not a great doctor, but he's a hell of a promoter. He likes television more than any politician in this room. And they like television. But he's been wrong on almost every issue. And he was wrong on Wuhan and the lab also, very wrong. And we ended the payments. You know, they were started in 2014. And then I can tell you, Mark Meadows came in and I talked to him and he saw what I saw. And I said, what the hell's going on? When did that start? Started in 2014 and we ended it. Our administration ended it. But generally speaking, I went the opposite way of Dr. Fauci, what he was saying. For instance, Fauci said, do not close our borders to China or Europe. But I did it anyway. And months later, he said I made the right decision and saved thousands and thousands of lives. He said it was the right decision, but he did not want to close that border. I said, wait a minute, there's tremendous infection over there. We can't let this happen. And we closed it, and I think we saved hundreds of thousands of lives. You remember the number was 2.2 million people in our country who were expected to die. Fauci said powerfully at the beginning, no masks. You remember that? No, masks don't work, masks don't. And then he went into masks, and then he became a radical masker. I would call it. If you have 3, if you have 4, get a pair of goggles also, ideally. And let's wear them for another 5 or 6 years. But Fauci has perhaps never been more wrong than when he denied the virus and where it came from. The time has come for America and the world to demand reparations and accountability from the Communist Party of China.
You know, guys, I couldn't agree. That's the president here you just heard speaking last night at the North Carolina GOP convention. Awesome, honorable type of speech by this president. Got into the Fauci story, the emails, the China virus, the pandemic, the masking. He got into a lot of different types of topic. And folks, are we seeing a potential presidential run for Donald Trump in 2024? Could we? Could we see Trump running for president in 2024 and winning? God willing, guys. God willing, we need him back more than ever. We need him back more than ever. Hey, folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. Happy Monday for everybody. I hope everybody had a great and pleasant weekend. I know I said I wasn't going to do a show today, but I decided to come on the airways here and give you the Monday podcast here, the scheduled Monday podcast. Yes, we are still doing a Instagram Live tomorrow, so check us out on Instagram. Pop open the channel if you like to listen in. If not, it's okay. But don't you worry. If you missed the Instagram Live, we will have that formatted into the audio version later that evening. So check us out on Instagram, Patriot Angle Podcast Instagram page. We did a Facebook Live last week, which was a good show. Really, really good show. High turnout for that show. Good ratings on that show. It was an awesome show. Awesome podcast. But like I said, I hope you had a good weekend. Did anybody catch the Donald Trump speech out in North Carolina, the GOP convention? Did an awesome presentation. Spoke very clearly, intelligently, and didn't clam up under pressure. If you know what I mean by that. What I mean by that is there's a story earlier today, and speaking of clamming up under pressure, Jen Psaki, the press secretary under Joe Biden, literally clams up when asked why Biden didn't honor D-Day. Of course, we do know that the former presidents, both Barack Obama and Donald Trump, acknowledged and honored the anniversary of D-Day. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki deflected criticism by these reporters, saying he certainly values the men who served. And then it goes on with saying President Obama and Trump both honored D-Day anniversaries on D-Day. Why didn't President Biden? Asked one reporter. And then Jen Psaki went into that and said basically, and I'll repeat it again, I can tell you that certainly his value for the role that men and women, the men, you notice where she says, the men who served on D-Day, and the memory of them, the families who have kept their memories alive over the course of years, is something he's spoken about many times in the past, deflected Psaki. It's coming out of Ian Miles Cheong. This was the reporter here in the White House. You got to check this out, guys. You got to listen into this.
Obama and Trump all commemorated D-Day anniversaries on D-Day, on the D-Day anniversary. Why didn't President Biden?
Well, I can tell you that certainly his value for the role that the men who served on D-Day and the memory of them, the families who have kept their memories alive over the course of years on this day, is something the president has spoke to many, many times in the past. It's close to his heart, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more we would have to say on it. Go ahead.
Obama and Trump all commemorated.
We'll have to circle back on that one. We'll have to circle back on it. We'll have to circle back on it today. I'm telling you, folks, if it doesn't get any nuttier, the tweets are going crazy, though. You got to listen to the tweets. Ian Miles Cheong, the reporter, basically says Joe Biden hates the troops. And that's true. He does. Since when does he commemorate the troops in any service man or woman in the military? Since when? He hasn't been to the border yet. Neither has Kamala Harris. Guys, this administration is a freaking joke. It really is. He probably feels bad at not serving in World War II, but he was already 40 years old. Coming out of another tweet. Oh, God, the tweets are coming in and in. Here's another one from Toronto, Canada. Her skills of dodging questions are poor and pathetic. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Another tweet coming out of Seattle, Washington. She almost said the men and women who served on D-Day. Yeah, notice she said that. Another one here. This is the last one. I can go on and on with these tweets because they're funny as hell. They're hilarious. They're comical. But I just don't have enough time on the show to say it. Last tweet here. This one actually coming out of Donald Trump Jr. Yeah. Joe Biden's greatest accomplishment will be showing Americans how great Donald Trump really was. Kudos to you, Junior, for that. I couldn't agree more on that one. That's nailed it right on the spot. Nailed it right on the spot. I tell you. But here following that, Joe Biden faced a growing backlash on social media Monday, right? Just shortly after the him failing to recognize the 77th anniversary of D-Day, the Allied invasion of Europe that ultimately turned the tide during the Second War, right? The Second World War, excuse me. Here's a source telling Fox News that the report or the fact that Vice President Harris tweeted about D-Day while Biden tweeted about the 1921 Tulsa massacre on Sunday clearly underscores the administration's priorities. Roughly 2,500 Americans died on D-Day. Yeah. Where was Kamala and Joe on that one? Where? As a veteran, I find this very, very, very disrespectful that the president ends his speeches with "God bless the troops," which now seems to be in words only. He blatantly forgot to acknowledge the tremendous sacrifice of our greatest generation. An Afghanistan and Iraq Wars veteran told Fox News just earlier today. Here's a tweet, guys, coming out of Vice President Kamala Harris's Twitter account. On the 77th anniversary of hashtag D-Day, we honor the heroes who stormed the beaches of Normandy and liberated the continent. We will never forget their courage and sacrifice. Yeah, I guess she had to put that out there because, her boss, the big guy in the office, right, Joe Biden, forgot to acknowledge probably one of the most sacrifices of days or history in the United States military, right? I guess she had to put that out there because Big Joe forgot to acknowledge. Yeah, I'm telling you guys. But here's another tweet. Oh, a tweet coming from President Biden on his Twitter page. I met with survivors of the Tulsa massacre this week to help fill the silence, because in silence, words deepen. And as painful as it is, only in remembrance do words heal. I guess that was his excuse towards the whole D-Day criticism. But here's a video relating to that tweet. This is in reference to what Biden just said in his tweet. Check this out, guys.
I am asking for justice.
Hold me up a little bit. Thank you.
They have to wait 100 years to do all of this?
It's amazing what you've all been through. It's amazing you stayed so strong. I think it's important. One of the reasons we're here, beyond wanting to see you, is that I think it's important that as President of the United States, I continue to do what I've done my whole career, speak out about it. You can't pretend it didn't happen. When you pretend it didn't happen, you don't face it. It can happen again. But when you know what happened, you can't run away from it. But we have to fight. We have to fight. And the first part of fighting is telling the truth. And that's what we want to do today.
Yeah, Joe, you can't tell the truth. You can't tell the truth. That whole damn video that I just plugged into the show, that's folks, these are lies. Joe, you can't tell the truth. Stop lying. Stop lying to yourself. Stop trying to build up enough self-esteem towards yourself. You can't tell the truth. Everything you say is a lie. It's been a lie for the last 40, 45 years of your political career. Seriously, Joe. What kind of country, folks, are we going to be with 4 more years of this crazy, delusional, old man, demented? Folks, the words are just not there. What are we going to be in 4 years from now with this president? Is it going to get better? I certainly hope so. Or are we going to have a new president in 2024? I think we're going the other direction. I think we need to basically have Joe step down as president in 2024, or hopefully before 2024, and give the job to somebody else. Because this former vice president, now president, Joe Biden, continues with his gaffy-filled basement campaign over the last, 5 months now into his presidency, 5-6 months, apparently warning this country of the dangers possessed by 4 more years of Joe Biden. Like I said, folks, what kind of country are we going to be? Folks, it's going to be a very, very, very dark path in the next 2.5, 3 years from now. Possibly 4 if he gets reelected. I hope not. I hope not. like I said, folks, I hope you tuned into my show a couple episodes back about inflation. He's got this country rising of inflation. And if you think his slurry words, his mishandling of words, his speeches going off the wall, hey folks, this show today is brought to you by our good friends at Podcorn. Podcorn, folks, is a great platform if you're starting out in the podcast world. If you're looking to get sponsorship, if you're looking to get more viewers, head over to podcorn.com. Head over there, check them out, guys. They're an awesome way of bringing in more viewers, bringing in more sponsorship. Just about every single day, guys, they have more and more sponsorship opportunities. All you have to do is sign up, get on the list, go through their segments, and hopefully the sponsor will pick you if they like you. They have, like I said, just about every type of sponsorship angle on that platform. Political, science, medical, sports, small business, just about every single sponsorship on that website. So head over to podcorn.com and don't forget to tell them that you heard this on the Patriot Angle podcast. Patriot Angle.
Hey folks, Matt Boyle here for Breitbart News. We're in Miami, Florida. We're going to go talk to Senator Rubio about a massive swing we saw in the Hispanic vote in November 2020 towards President Trump and Republicans. We're also going to talk about corporate influence in American politics and what the Republican Party needs to do about it. Let's go see what he has to say. Hey Senator, how you doing? Good to see you.
Senator, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Thank you for letting us come by today.
Anytime. As you can see, my mom, she always loves these antiques. So as you see, we have a Captain Regal, the firefighters.
Is that a real thing? Yeah, Havana firefighters.
And she's always getting real antiques and real stuff because it kind of brings us our memory back from Cuba for our families and for our customers. So when they sit down, they reflect back on why we came here, what the memories are, but also how blessed we are to be in this country as immigrants and really having the American dream.
I always tell people, if Cuba was 90 miles from some other country, we'd be in bad shape. You wouldn't own this restaurant, and your family wouldn't have done what it's been able to do.
All right, folks, you're hearing a sound clip here. I'm plugging into the show with Marco Rubio just yesterday, folks, down in Miami, Florida. Marco Rubio is saying the shift in Hispanic vote is toward the GOP under Trump, permanent unless the Republicans revert to pre-Trump ways. So I guess that's a good thing. Senator Marco Rubio is also a Republican out in Florida, folks, and he told Breitbart News he believes a profound shift seen in the 2020 election and the Hispanic community toward Republicans and away from Democrats will continue to intensify as long as the GOP sticks to what former President Donald Trump taught the party. Listen to more of this, guys. This is crazy. Check this out, guys.
Get small business into the supply chain issues, right? Because pandemic's hitting, we're going to see disruption. How are we going to make up the supply chain losses? This is a good time to build up the capacity of small businesses. So we were already thinking about it, and then when the pandemic hit, we just kind of shifted over and created this instead. We realized it was going to be a lot bigger than just supply chain. So, look, it was bipartisan. Frankly, Democrats worked with us on it at that moment in time, and I'm proud of that because they can't get anything passed if it's not bipartisan. And, Steve Mnuchin deserves a lot of credit. He was a big part of it, other people that were helping us with it. So, but our office, I named it, the Plate Your Potatoes Program. I came up with that brand, and but a lot of the ideas, our staff deserves a lot of credit, and so too does Senator Collins and the other people that helped us with it, to be fair, Senator Cardin. It was a time where I think it worked the way it was supposed to work. Government government. We were thinking about people, not about politics.
Right, and this is at a time at the beginning of the pandemic when the government's literally asking people to stay home. They're asking people to not go to work, and so they're trying to figure out how do we get them, so that they get to keep their job when we do tell them to go back. Now, the government has lifted a lot of these restrictions. People want to go back to work now across the country, but we have kind of like the inverse problem, because the other big thing that the awesome.
Get this on. Oh God.
Oh my.
This is all keto, right? This is all low carb.
Oh my.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Small cup?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll have a little coffee. Thank you. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this small cup for what?
This is colada.
Colada and then more here. Got it. We're all set. Okay, so it's the same thing.
Yeah. That works.
So your point was right? That's what I always tell people. I had a lot of people say, well, why is government involved in all this? I said, we're telling people they can't open their business. If I tell you Sergio's government wants Sergio's, we want to take over Sergio's because we need it for a public purpose, that's called a taking. We got to compensate them for it. If you tell them we have to close you because of pandemic, that's a taking. It was the equivalent of a taking in the way I viewed it at the time. But for me, honestly, I knew the airlines were going to get their money, all these big companies were going to get their money, but what was going to happen to these small businesses? Millions of them would have collapsed. They would have been gone forever. And
Hispanic population.
Because these are communities that are made up of people that value common sense wisdom and working class values. I mean, that's what their life is built on. And those are two things that the left has completely abandoned. And you hear a lot of talk, is it about socialism? Socialism is a part of it. Socialism is a part of the common sense part of it. Like, in their mind, it's like, if I were to sort of step in the shoes of one of these folks that maybe voted for Obama in 2012, but then voted for Donald Trump in 2020, they would say to you, look, I came from a socialist country, I fled it, why the hell would we do that here? It makes no sense to them. And so you see Democrats stand up and say, well, I'm not a socialist. No, you're not. You don't brand yourself as a socialist, but you support socialist things. And you support on investments in companies that had links to the Chinese military. In essence, companies that are building weapons to kill Americans one day in a future conflict, God forbid. They just suspended that. The Biden administration. So we've just suspended a ban on American investment flowing into companies who are designing weapons to blow up our aircraft carriers. That's nuts.
That's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts.
I couldn't agree, guys. As you can see, I skipped through a couple of parts, some really good key points that Marco Rubio, Senator Marco Rubio, was saying. With this small business owner here, there in Miami, Florida. When you close, and he did make a good point, a valuable point, of what they were doing during the pandemic. Folks, let me tell you something with this pandemic here. He just mentioned something, and he makes a good, valuable point. When you close a restaurant, a small business, an establishment, anything, okay, and say, we have to close this business down because of the pandemic. Folks, that's a taking. You have to compensate when you close a business down, right? And we've seen a lot of businesses close down in reference to the pandemic. And like I said, folks, these are communities made up of people, like Rubio had said, that value common sense, wisdom, and working class values, okay? Miami, folks, is mainly a 90%, almost 100% Hispanic region of Florida. Very, very made up of Hispanic people that live in the Miami area, and they value not only working class values, but they value hard working values. And I think that's why Trump got the support by the Hispanic community there in Miami. And if it continues, if Biden continues these crazy scenarios of high tax, socialism type of agendas with the taking and closing businesses down, I think the majority of the Hispanic voters in Miami, folks, will swing significantly to Trump if Trump is, God willing, serious about running in 2024. I think the Hispanic voters will swing significantly to Trump in the next coming years, especially a trend that we seen in 2020 was also seen in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. If anybody's been paying close attention to that, Trump got a large margin of Hispanic voters, especially in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. Big supporter of Trump there. But folks, that's what their life is built on. Those two things. Working class values and common sense wisdom. The two key point things that the left has abandoned over the years. Folks, you hear a lot of people talk about whether it's socialism, but folks, I think socialism is part of it, of what we're seeing today. Socialism is a big part of the common sense part of it. And people are starting to see that in their mind. If I were to step in their shoes of someone who maybe voted for Obama in the 2012 era of his presidency, then voted for Donald Trump in 2020, they would say to you, look, I came from a socialist country, I fled it. Why the hell would we do that here? It makes no sense to them. A lot of stuff that the radical left Democratic Party is doing today does not make sense. They're trying to influence socialism in this country, and people that fled socialism, mainly in parts of like Cuba, Havana, and other areas of Cuba, they fled socialism. So if they fled socialism, why would they back the same agendas from this radical left that their government proposed in the first place? It doesn't make sense, folks. It doesn't make sense. I'm not a socialist, and you shouldn't be either, folks. With that being said, we're going to take another quick little break, and we'll be right back after these words on this story. Don't go anywhere. Hey, you guys. This episode today is sponsored by the Bracelet Man. Handmade, personalized paracord bracelets, specializing in military, police, fire, your name personalized even, or even your company or school. He also honors those who serve in the military. And if you're looking to get one of these bracelets, to have it personalized maybe for a wedding or a special evening, contact them at 706-457-7528. Again, it's 706-457-7528. He's located at Atlanta Highway in Rutledge, Georgia. You can also contact him on his Facebook page, The Bracelet Man, or his email at roscoe.0149@gmail.com. The Bracelet Man. Check him out on his Facebook page. Again, The Bracelet Man, located in Rutledge, Georgia. All right, folks, we're back to the show. Last time out, last advertisement break there, I promise, because we're running low on the show here. We're almost out of time, so we're going to be closing up on this last segment here on the Patriot Angle podcast. What we're talking about, folks. All right, folks, what we're talking about here is this story here. As I'm going to close it up on the show, I want to get back more into brief on it. Basically, folks, we're talking about how Rubio was down in Miami, an Hispanic community, mainly made up of a lot of Hispanic people that live in that area. So basically, like I said, folks, it doesn't make sense why the Biden administration is like, they're not saying it, they're not saying socialism, but, you know, the stuff that comes out of their mouths, the agendas, the messaging, everything that comes out of their mouths is basically damn right almost on the same path as in a socialist agenda. Very close to socialism of Havana, Cuba. You know, it's very close to it. That's why people fled Cuba, folks, in Miami in the 60s and 70s. right? When Castro was running craziness of Cuba then. So, like I said, folks, it doesn't make sense why people would flee a country that had high stakes of socialism to come to another country that's invoking socialism. It doesn't make sense. If the Democrats want the Hispanic base, they better get off this socialist agenda, or you're not going to see a Democratic president in 2024. I can tell you right now. Folks. If they continue this type of crap in this country, they're going to lose their Hispanic base for their voters. They are. Because no one in their right mind will vote for that. They won't vote for that. They won't vote for stimulus checks. They won't vote for high taxes. They won't vote for open borders, high crime, drugs. They won't vote for that. They won't vote for riots. They won't vote for looters. They won't vote for injustice. They won't vote for unpeaceful protesting. They won't vote for any of that. Everything that you've seen from as early as last year up until current time now, you're not going to get a yes or a vote from a common sense and Hispanic. You're not. The common sense ones, they won't back it. They won't support it, folks. I'm telling you. You take that to the bank. They will not support that. I want to go into this last segment here that Rubio added that this shift will be as permanent as long as Republicans remain focused on common sense values that Trump championed for the GOP moving forward. He also noted that most people in the Hispanic community do not spend all day on Twitter following establishment media figures' orders, but instead they just live life based on common sense. Folks, they don't. They are not lazy people. They don't sit on social media. They don't TikTok. They don't tweet all day. They don't do none of that. These people work their ass off, folks, 60 to 70 plus hours a week. Those are the ones. That's the type of generation that I miss in this country. Because those people need to come back to the country. I don't know where they are hiding or if they're gone, but they need to come back. In closing here, Rubio also said that the left has abandoned that type of an agenda that the Hispanic community values. And what the Hispanic community value is President Trump for doing a lot of things based on common sense. In their mind, it made all the sense in the world. They don't understand why their side is against it, and then working class values, most of these people here don't care what you do with your life. They don't want to tell you how to live your life, who to marry, who to love, and so forth. But you're asking them to abandon 3,000 or 4,000 years of accumulated human wisdom because a handful of crazy professors that have convinced people, folks, every day or everything that we knew was true is no longer true on things like gender, on this or that. These guys, folks, just got turned off by all of that. The Democrats, they just lost a huge Hispanic base because of what they're doing. And I think it accelerated through the summer on the pandemic and the rioting and all of that. I think that shift is permanent unless we as Republicans go back to being who we used to be. Then we give these people no political home. No political home. It's up to you guys. It's up to you. If you want to get your country back from the tyranny, from the socialist agendas, the communist ordeals, the craziness, the rioting, the everything. If you want your country the way it was, secured under President Trump, Well, you know what to do in 2024, folks. And that's my closing. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow night on Instagram Live. Remember, folks, if you miss Instagram Live, it will be formatted to its audio version on all podcast platforms everywhere, including Spotify, Apple, Google, now on podbay.fm, Buzzsprout, Breaker, all different types of major podcast platforms. We're out there, folks, including our social media pages, the Facebook page, the Patriot Angle Podcast, and also on our Instagram page, Patriot Angle Podcast. Check us out on those social media platforms, folks. Like us and follow us. And don't forget to hit the little alarm clock icon on that so you can get up-to-date notifications on your phone or iPhone or any other type of listening device that you may choose to listen to. Thank you very much, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow night on Instagram Live. You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle Podcast, an Anchor platform.